Walsh.
Here.
Quorum.
Okay, and can we quickly do the pledge?
Oh, what?
Yep.
If you give us a flag so that we
I'm-
can do that, maybe.
Yes, I'm having trouble.
Don't we have one? I have one, but I don't know how to get it there.
I don't know why this isn't working. Oh, there we go. Okay, hang
You got
on.
it?
Share screen. Hit the flag. Okay. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
To the
republic
republic
for which it
for which
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty,
and justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have one mission this evening. Have you all had a chance to look at the materials that Arnett has forwarded to you that I asked her to gather some information? Lou, do you have something that you want to introduce as an introductory?
No, I believe Arnett forwarded you the charts of in two forms, in a graph form and a chart form, which shows I think Sylvia, you asked for
Hi, Laura.
comparable
Excuse me, Lou. Hi, Laura. Okay.
for comparable salaries, and those were the CCM towns that report to the CCM survey that are of the towns that we use in the budget for like ever for
Comparison.
for comparables. Yeah. Now the only difference I mentioned to Arnett was the salary that shown for Laura when the salaries were completed for CCM was probably in the fall, so it was the pre-January 1st 21 increase that she would have gotten. So other than that, it is the current CCM salary information.
Okay, thank you. Well, you all know that we're here to discuss the town clerk salary, and Laura's joined us to give us her pitch, let's call it that. But we saw a letter from her. I thought it was very thoughtfully put together, and I knew that the committee might have some questions about that. So she's graciously agreed to be here. So Laura, I'm going to turn the floor over to you first, and then we'll let the committee open it up to questions for you, and then we'll go from there. But you're muted. There you go.
Nope, still muted.
Unmute,
There we
unmute.
go.
There you go.
All right,
Okay.
hi, sorry about that. Yeah, so on the memo that I sent, I did leave a lot of information so that you would have the information in writing and you could look it over, because we were very highly impacted over the year with a lot of responsibility. And I've gone from 4 assistants to 2 assistants. So between my assistants and myself, we've really stepped up our performance, and I basically had to become an assistant to myself. So more work for all of us, which isn't bad because we didn't mind stepping up to it. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. I think we're doing a good job, and the job is demanding, and it will continue to be demanding, especially with the elections coming up in the next couple of years.
And can I ask you to reiterate for us, your request was a 2%, a 2% increase effective from January 21st, January 2020. Let's see.
22.
22, yeah, 20 to 21, and then 21 to 22. Right, exactly. Right.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was fair.
Okay. Okay.
But, you know, obviously you've done some research, and, you know, I'm open to what you've come up with, and, you know, whatever you feel is fair,
Okay.
I'm open to it.
Okay. So I will open it up to questions. Peter, do you have any questions, concerns, or answers you need from Laura while she's here?
Just first to clarify, you said 2% for the 2 years going forward, correct?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
usually
Okay.
what it's been. Well, last 2 years ago, that's what it was also. for each year, it was 2%.
It was
for
2% each year.
Right. And we're basically setting 22 and 23.
Right.
Okay. Sylvia had said, I thought I was confused by the dates that Sylvia had mentioned. I thought there was some sort of retro.
I'm
Um,
sorry, Peter. Yeah, I was confused. It's starting now and going forward for the next 2 years.
Well,
It
wouldn't
starts in
start until
January, correct? Starts
Yeah.
January of 2022.
It's
Right.
for the new term.
Right,
Till
okay.
January 2023.
Yeah, that's
Right.
if I get elected, whoever is the town clerk,
Right.
whoever gets elected will get that salary.
Right. It's those numbers that are confusing as to what year we're
Yeah.
in, right? Okay.
Doing things ahead
Yes.
of, yeah.
Right.
Just a quick question, Laura, on, and I'm looking at the packet that Arnett sent to us. It's town clerk salaries, hours by account. Patty King is listed as the 60 and then 61, and that includes department head differential. Is that the increase for when she covers when you're not there?
I'm not sure what you're talking about. That might be a good question for Lou. The differential has been lowered actually in the past few years. It was much higher, but because the union wanted things to be more fair, it ended up being lowered, and it's only 15% over whatever her salary is when I'm gone.
But you're right. You are correct, Peter. That is a differential that is paid to us, someone when they are temporarily stepping in for a supervisor who is out for a full day or more.
Okay,
Yeah, Peter, there's 6 people in the town hall union who get a differential. Laura's deputy is one of them, and they get 15%. Previously, it was tied to salary ranges, and because Laura doesn't have a salary range, the deputy was getting what Laura was getting, and then the union made a change, I think, in the previous contract to change it to 15%.
Right.
the 6 part-time people that are paid out of the special revenue fund, Nankin, D'Onofrio, Sarah Nankin, and then 3 Bennetts. Are those strictly at election time?
5 of them are. 5 of them were. The 2 Nankin people are not going to be working anymore for us temporarily, but the other temporary people, the Bennetts, one of the Bennetts, she's been working with us solely as our temporary helper, but the others have worked only on the election.
I assume that would be Susanna then?
Susanna, you're right.
Okay,
And we also had Tori, the woman who was at the door for the time that the town hall was closed. She was helping us out temporarily also, because we needed that many people to help us through the election.
Yeah, Peter, excuse me. I think on those 7, I think there was some crossover. I don't think all 7 were there.
No, 6 were.
At one
We had
time, I
6
think.
at one time.
yeah, and some of those are, the way it's shown anyway, it's divided over a 2-year period, so that encompasses a couple of elections. I know that the balances for the accounts were in here. There it is. So, are the one that you're using a at least one part-time then on a fairly regular basis?
Yeah, she comes in on Mondays and Tuesdays sometimes, not every week, but it's usually just to clean up from the previous week, just to catch us up.
And that comes out of which?
It comes out of the community
The
investment.
Community
Fund.
Investment Act?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
I guess-
that would make sense, because that one has gone from 46 and a half down to a shade over 33,000.
Yes, it's 32, too. So yeah, I had the appropriation from 2019 that you guys approved in 2019. Those are the funds that I'm still using, and they're pretty much spent. So that's why I've asked for another 17,000 to pay for temporary help again going forward. That's in my budget that I requested this year, for this year's budget.
The one that just got approved?
Yeah,
Okay, yep.
yeah.
All right, Madam Chair, that takes care of my questions.
Okay, and I'd like to just pick up on that one, and I think, Don, you have another question, but I just want to make sure that we're clear about the three people that are in that office regularly full-time are Kristen, Patty King, and Amy, and those, Kristen is a part-timer, is that
No,
correct?
It's myself, Patty King, Amy Leonard, and then Susanna Bennett comes in.
Okay, so
as the
Kristen is no
temporary.
longer there. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, that
Yeah, so
works.
it's just the
And-
two
and-
full-time staff.
Susanna takes over and catches up things that the other three of you have perhaps not had time to accomplish at the end of the week. She comes in on Mondays and Tuesdays to catch that up.
Yes,
correct?
we also have her working on some historical projects. The digitization of the records, when they get digitized from film, and sometimes it's not perfect. So she's cleaning those records up and also getting ready to redact the Social Security numbers from the records that are coming soon, that will be on the system in the next couple of months.
Okay,
We have a list.
okay.
So she's
And
working
Don
on
had
that.
asked me a question. I'll let you ask it, Don, because I couldn't answer it. He
Yeah,
asked me a
thank-
question earlier about Amy Leonard. So if you want to put that question forward.
Yeah, I just noticed a $10,000 increase this year in Amy's salary. Is that more hours, or, I mean, it goes from 30, I think it was 30,000 to 40,000.
I don't know what Lou would answer that. I know she's going to town clerk school, but she only gets like 15 cents an hour increase. So
Oh,
I
I
don't think
I
that
saw
would
it
be
was
that.
in 2020, it was 30,000.
422.98.
Yep.
Right. And then in 2021 for this year, you have it at 40,775. Where does that $10,000 increase come from? Is it more hours, or did she do such a bang up job? We're giving her a huge increase.
No,
Yeah.
no, no,
I
I
don't know
don't
where
have
those
the,
numbers are coming from.
Yeah, I don't have the budget in front of me, but my guess is the first year that she was there wasn't a complete 12-month year.
Okay.
And then she probably got a step increase, but her compensation is tied to the union contract, so.
Yeah.
But when do you,
Yeah.
yeah,
She
when do
wouldn't
you,
have gotten a $10,000.
but when do you budget that position for a set amount of money anyway, though? I mean, when do
Well,
you,
no, actually, when we budget, the
individual?
analyst budgets actual expectations, but
Okay.
I'm thinking Amy came probably, maybe, I don't know. Laura,
March
you
or
would
April?
know. No, she probably came more, maybe August.
Came in August.
Can
Yeah.
I interrupt a minute? Because I see a addendum on there that says includes the projection for June 18, 2021 payroll. Does that indicate that perhaps she, indeed, what Lou is speaking to, was not there for the whole full year last year?
No, I think Laura just said she came in August or September of
Yeah,
whatever.
she started August 8th.
And,
Okay,
and she's only been here 2 or 3 years, so she's probably at best step 3. And that contract has, I think, 6 steps to go, so she's nowhere close to being.
So it's a union contract
Union
anyways.
Yeah,
contract.
but it wouldn't have been a 10,000. It probably was maybe 9 months versus 12 months with a
Okay.
step increase and a whatever.
No, I was just curious because I saw a big difference and it made no sense. So,
Oh, no.
Yep.
okay. One other thing, Lou, when you got the other towns' salaries, I know we look at salaries for town clerks, but do we look at what their job descriptions are? Because when you look at like a town like Farmington, that's paying $111,000 to their town clerk, and then you look at another town where they're paying $70,000. Are all their do we even look at are we comparing apples to apples here, or?
Well, part of, we could have got more detail. I think I mentioned to Arnett that I think, and Laura may know, because she may know the clerk in Farmington. I think the clerk in Farmington has been actually the clerk for like 28 years. So she's been there a while. So that may be a product of longevity, tenure. And we didn't want to give you that report because that would have shown her at 28 years, and Laura's probably only been the clerk for 6 years. Yet Laura's been in the clerk's office for 20 something years because she was an assistant and a deputy before she became the elected clerk. So, but I would think that most town clerks, city clerks perform basically the same functions that are, statutory.
Yeah,
Okay,
statutory. It also depends on how much staff you have, and also we do some things in addition to what other town clerks' offices do. I noticed that some other offices don't do notarization, and that takes up a lot of time for us. And some offices, have more staff. What's the other thing we did?
Do all town clerk offices do dog licensing and things like that?
Yes, they do dog licensing. They have to do that. Some choose not to do hunting and fishing licenses. And so we do those, and all the surrounding towns don't do them. So all the people that can't do them on the computer come to Cheshire to get their hunting and fishing license. So that's another extra thing that we do.
I have one more question, Laura, for you, I guess. Typically, when you took the job as town clerk, you were they expecting you to work 35 hours a week? Is that what the average they expected you to do? And last year, on average, what do you think you were averaging?
Well, I always work 35 hours, and it's always usually more. It's always on my timesheet, it's usually 70 plus. And I've kept track of all my extra time that I've worked. When I first became town clerk in 2016, starting around July, I realized I'm working a lot more hours than 35. So I started keeping track, and I stopped doing it at the end of last year, but I've accumulated about 166 hours of time beyond, the 35
Beyond the 35?
hours per week.
Okay, that's what I was questioning, because I assume, especially last year, you were probably putting in more hours because of the amount of stuff that was going on. But all right, that's all I had. Thank you, Laura.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right. Any other questions from this committee?
If I can jump back in, Madam
Sure.
Chair. So I looked at the budget book, which thankfully was still handy. The assistant town clerk this year will get 44,161. So that 30, Don, had to be an anomaly and
Okay.
had to not include a full year, because
Right.
the 40 and then it's scheduled for 44 this year. So that makes more sense.
Yeah,
and-
no, that makes
and
sense. Okay.
explains where that one is.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then you were talking about utilizing someone or one of your part-time people for like document preservation and all that stuff. Is there the ability to use the document preservation fund to use some of that for part-time help?
If they're working on historical jobs, like a specific job, yeah. It would have to be designated time towards that job, like doing archival work.
Okay,
Or,
so that
is-
that fund would include personnel cost then.
Yeah, the historic document fund, I typically would use that for something like, remodeling the vault or equipment for the vault, or something that would be used for preservation of the records. But the other two accounts or funds, the Community Investment Act Fund and the MERS account, which I know you don't like that name, MERS, but
Yeah.
We can use those two accounts for staff.
Okay,
And it could be flexible. They could be working on archival business, or they could be helping customers at the counter and answering the phones.
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And to that point, how quickly do the funds get replenished in that account? I know you and I were talking
Yeah.
about the volume of revenue that has increased significantly in the town
Right.
clerk's office this year, probably higher than any year since 2005 or 6. It seems to me was our
Exactly. Yeah,
conversation.
well, the accounts are replenished every month. We keep track of how much goes in, and like the MERS account gets about $1,000 a month, and the other two accounts get several $100s a month. So they increase all the time. It's based on recording fees. And last year we recorded quite a few documents, a lot more documents, I think, in the last 7 years. Was the most we've ever recorded in 7 years. So, and I expect this year will be the same. We're recording a lot of documents. So the fees are based on the recordings, and so those accounts are increasing.
Okay, so they may be being reduced a little bit, but overall, they're still, that we're not diminishing them completely.
I'm not asking for a lot of money this year. Just the 18,000 for the digitizing to get us back to 1970, and then the money for the temporary help, and then some office supplies just in case. If we didn't have those funds available to us during the past election, I think we would have had a real disaster because the funds were there for us to purchase equipment and things that we needed to get through this COVID crisis. And they really helped, so.
And looking forward to another national election in 3 years, we ought to be thinking ahead
Right.
3 years from now that on an election year of a national election year, likely our budget should be increased to accommodate the new voting
Yeah.
regulations and so on and so forth.
That's
So,
right.
no, we don't have to worry about it now, but something we ought to keep on the radar.
We have
for
to be
another
prepared.
national election. And there was another question I had about that influx of, can't remember, it couldn't have been that significant, but I think that oh, I know what it was. You used Bonnie from the planning department for some extra help. Do you see that the lack of that help is going to increase the need for more part-time help here?
Yeah,
Because we
well-
don't see that reflected in any of these numbers.
Yeah, not for the next couple of years. I think we'll be okay. And that was really for the presidential election. We needed all
Okay.
that help.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure for the next 2 years, we'll make it just fine
okay.
with one temporary help.
All right, so if there are no further questions from the committee, we have a little bit of a time-sensitive thing because Don has another meeting to go to very shortly. So we thank you for coming, and now we will discuss what we're going to do. You're welcome to stay if you want to listen, but we will come up with a conclusion and a resolution to present to the council on Tuesday.
Okay,
Thank you.
that sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Oh, do you have a question, Arnett?
I actually have just a comment,
Okay.
if that's okay, Ms. Nichols.
sure.
I just, a point of clarification. In Laura, in your memo, you had mentioned while town offices were closed during the worst of the pandemic, and you also mentioned again tonight that town offices were closed. I want to make it very clear to the public that the town offices were not closed. The building was locked,
Hmm.
but people were still coming in, and the
Mm.
tax office will tell you how busy they were during that time because people were paying their taxes. So I just want to
Mm.
clarify that we have a good group of people here who were working valiantly throughout the whole crisis. I just wanted to clarify that. So
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I
I just
could have
wanted to-
worded it
yeah.
differently, but
I know you didn't mean it that way, but sometimes
Yeah.
people interpret things that way. So
yeah, everybody.
we
pitched
just wanted to
in.
clarify. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's good, yeah, and certainly our town staff all worked above and beyond to make sure things got done, and we successfully managed to get through the crisis, so that was good. But we want to make
Yes.
sure we give credit to everybody who worked so hard, so thank you, Arnett,
Absolutely.
for that.
Yeah, thank you
Okay,
so much, all.
thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
All right, bye.
Okay, so I'm going to put it to you guys to begin with. If somebody has a thought about where we want to start, and then let's have a quick discussion so that we can make a decision. It shouldn't be too difficult. Peter or Don, you got a place to start?
I have a quick question. Maybe Lou can answer this. For the past contracts that we just approved, on average for the first year, what was the percentage increase? Was it around 2% or less than that?
Well, you got to realize some of the contracts had zeros in
First year, yeah.
in the first 6 months, and then
Yeah.
had a percentage that probably took the base build less than 2%. But you got to realize she's outside of the first year of the contract. So she's probably, because her January 1, 22 to the end of 22 takes in probably part of the second year of the contract. Because you realize what you would be approving for her are calendar year 22 and calendar year 23, which lapses over in both cases 2 different fiscal years. So the raise you're giving her January 1st of 22 is going to cover 6 months of the fiscal year you just budgeted, and 6 months out of fiscal 23, and the second year is going to be part 23 and part fiscal 24. So those are probably the second and third years of the contracts you just approved, and those probably are closer to 2% on an average.
Okay.
I wouldn't compare it to the first year because it's more the second, third, and fourth years of those contracts.
I personally don't have a big issue with the 2% increase. Would I like 1.5 and then 2? Yeah, probably. But I think the 2% I'm okay with.
Peter?
The 2% year one would be a raise of $1,706.85. Second year would be $1,740.99. So the salary for 22 would be $87,049.31, and second year would be $88,790.30. Considering the fact that we're pretty much right smack dab in the middle of all the towns that you throw out Farmington, and we're probably in the top third rather than the middle third. So because that one is, I don't understand that one at all, but that's just me. So I think 2% is solid, and it's consistent with what we've been giving most of the other department heads, and I can certainly justify it and support it.
Thank you. And I will agree wholeheartedly and make it unanimous. I think that having sat through all the negotiations in the other unions, I think looking at the job that the town clerk's office does is good. I think we have to remember when we're negotiating these, that we're not negotiating for an individual, but for the job, so that because we are an elected official, that person could change midway in this 2-year period or not, but we need to be cognizant of that. But I absolutely would agree supporting the 2% increase. So if I could have a motion to bring that proposal to the council.
I have a motion to approve a 2% increase for years 2022, 2023 for town clerk.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, so it's unanimous. So we will have them put a resolution on the agenda for the town council meeting of next Tuesday, because we have a deadline of the end of June. So we will get that before the council on Tuesday. I appreciate your time, and so if I can have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
and you may
adjourn.
go off to your other meeting.
Thank you. I'm going to leave now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye.